So hi there everybody, I'm out today on a hot day here in Malmö, Sweden. I'm actually doing 2 videos at one day, so it's really nice to be free and to be able to do that. I'm standing by a road, so if there are a lot of cars driving through, you know why. One question that I get really often is, both for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K camera and for the Panasonic GH5 and the other Panasonic line of cameras, through DMs on Instagram and in the comments section, is which standard zoom for the Micro Four Thirds should I go with? Should I go with the 12-35 or the 12-60? And yeah, I'm gonna test both of these lenses. I have owned this lens, I do own this, and I'm gonna tell you the big difference between both of these 2 lenses. And to be honest, both are great purchases and great to use. Both are sharp and nice, great IS on both of these, but there are some things to think about. And to be honest, whichever you go with, you can't go wrong, but there are some things to think about. So now there are some things to think about off the bat when it comes to the difference between these 2 lenses, and one of them being that the 12-60, as long as you just touch the 12mm and you go to like 13, you will start losing light. So I would also almost consider the 12-60 almost as an f4 lens. It's only 2.8 at 12mm, and yeah, that's that. And I did some tests here with looking at the breathing of these 2 lenses, and the 12-60 is, I mean, I would say that it's amazing. I can't see the breathing at all. And for you out there who don't know what breathing is, it's when you focus and you see how much the corners move. That is a typical problem with photography lenses in general, but the 12-60 has it really well controlled. And to be honest, even the 12-35, I wasn't expecting it to do as good as it is doing, so props to the 12-35. Another thing that I was looking at was how parfocal are these 2 lenses. Now, because I have shot the 12-60 for a long time, I know that it's very good when it comes to that. And what I do is that most of the time I zoom in, I set the focus, and then I zoom out and see if the focus moves any bit. And with the 12-60, it looks very good. And to be honest, even with the 12-35, I'm not sure that it moved too much. So both of these lenses are quite good in that remark. I have to maybe get closer to a subject before I give you my final verdict on the 12-35, but I know that the 12-60 is very good when it comes to the parfocal part. Well, as you can see, it's a warm day. I'm sweating a little bit. Summer has come to Sweden, at least in Malmö. 12-35 versus the 12-60, the Panasonic 2 lenses. I've reviewed the footage, I've looked at the sharpness. Both of these lenses are equally sharp. They can vary in sharpness when it comes to which focal length you are shooting at, but I would say that they are sharp enough. And as I've said in a couple of my other videos, most new lenses today are sharp enough. I've almost went the other route now to look at other characteristics of lenses, what they give you, because I'm shooting with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K camera, and the image of that camera isn't the sharpest if you compare it to like a Panasonic GH5 or a Sony a7 III or more or less any DSLRs, because most of the time those cameras do downsample their megapixels to get that 4K image or 1080p image. Now I'm looking more at the quality of the image. With that said, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K camera is beautiful, and I really love the image. It has a more organic feel to it, and the sharpness isn't everything. So I would say that both of these lenses are sharp enough. Now these lenses have some things to think about, as I said. The 12-35 being a constant aperture lens, and I know for a lot of people that is the most important thing. And I really understand that. It's nice to have that extra light. the 12-60 isn't a fixed aperture lens. It goes from 2.8 to f4. So I most of the time treat that lens as an f4. So I put it at f4 if I know that I'm going to be zooming a lot. If I know that I'm not going to be zooming, I use all the different apertures. Now the 12-60 is a longer lens, and in this video you've seen how big the difference is between the 60mm and the 35 on the longest focal range on these two lenses. So the difference there is actually quite big, and for me personally, I like to have that longer range on a zoom because of the versatility. I feel that I can get closer to stuff, and that is important. Through the years, I've almost always went with the longer L lenses on the Canon. I used to own the 24-105. I didn't go with the 24-70 because I really like the compression. And if you like to shoot portraits, that 85mm focal length is probably the ideal. So I feel that the 70 doesn't compress faces enough. That's why I've always went with the longer zooms. Now the Panasonic 12-60 has two magic tricks up its sleeves. It is Parfocal, which you have seen in this video, and the breathing is minimal. The 12-35 isn't Parfocal, and when you think about Parfocal, the feature of Parfocalness is either it is Parfocal or it isn't. You don't have like it's almost Parfocal, because if it's not really Parfocal, you can't use it. And even though I would say that the 12-35 is actually really closer than I would believe from the beginning, but still, if it's not really Parfocal, you can't be sure that it will hit that focus point when you're zooming, which the 12-60 does. Another thing that is really important to me, because I do a lot of video, most of the work that I do is video, is how much the lens breathes. And the 12-35 is actually quite okay in this remark. It's not as good as the 12-60 because the 12-60 more or less doesn't breathe at all, and you can almost compare it to the 24-105 Panasonic Leica, or it's not actually not a Leica lens, but it's for the L series for the Panasonic S1. I feel that these two lenses are almost identical. The 12-60 from Leica is somewhat longer, but which lens you go with, I mean, that's a personal choice. My choice was the 12-60. I know a lot of people go with the 12-35, and I understand that because it is a faster lens and it's a damn good lens, I would say. When it comes to sharpness, they are quite equal. Now the 12-60 has one big issue, as I see it. It is the focus wheel, and it's quite hard to set your focus with it because it really jumps. I hope that Panasonic, at least on the Panasonic GH5, implement linear focus to that camera and future cameras, so it's easier to focus with that lens. I feel that the 12-35 is actually a little bit easier to focus with, so that's a plus for the 12-35. So if you do a lot of manual focusing, you would probably go with the 12-35. I've gotten accustomed to focus with the 12-60, so I actually think it's okay, but so sometimes the focusing can go to other places that you had intended from the beginning. So I would love to know which lens you use mostly on your Panasonic GH5 and also on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K camera, which I use more and more. I would love if you could write that in the comments. And if you have any questions for me, please ask them in the comments or add me on Instagram, where I'm doing more and more content. And please subscribe to my channel. And yeah, until the next time, see you soon, and adios.